Githunguri Member of Parliament Gathoni Wamuchomba now says she regrets working with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of having what she described as a dark heart. Once hailed for standing with Kenyans after opposing successive finance bills, backing the 2024 Gen Z protests and voting against Gachagua's impeachment later that year, Muchomba recently made a controversial political about-turn, ditching Gachagua and rejoining President William Ruto's UDA camp, a move that raised questions among her supporters. In an exclusive interview with NTV, Muchomba defended her decision, insisting it was driven largely by development considerations rather than politics. Well, David Mudhoka now interrogates whether leaders must align with the government in order to deliver development to their constituencies.
Monday's UDA National Governing Council meeting at State House marked Githunguri MP Gathoni Wamuchomba's first visit to the House on the Hill in years. Her trademark beret, long a symbol of her defiance against President William Ruto's administration, a fallout that began just months into his first term, was noticeably absent. In its place, a yellow UDA cap and visible laughter as the head of state later engaged her alongside fellow political returnee Juja MP George Kwtw in a brief tete-a-tete. In an exclusive interview with NTV, Wamuchomba gave reasons behind her political U-turn, among them her experience working with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
All I can say is that he's that one person who is a goon himself. In fact, I want to thank President Ruto for having accommodated Gachagua as a Deputy President for more than a month. I think Ruto is a strong soul. Putting up with such a man, with such a heart, with such a temperament, somebody who is banging tables and abusing workers and harassing women and, gossiping and all what you call a black heart. Living with such a person as a deputy, Ruto tried.
The MP cited marginalization by government as the second reason for her decision, as she dismissed claims that she had been lured back to the ruling party by money.
In fact, wale wanasema nimenunuliwa 250 million, nataka kuwaelezea hapa, si 250 million. Nimenunuliwa na billions of money in terms of projects that are going to come to my constituency and to my county.
Wamuchomba joins a growing list of leaders who say they have crossed over from the opposition to government in pursuit of development for the regions they represent. Maragua MP Mary Wamawa, Juja's George Kwtw, and a section of ODM leaders have also pledged their loyalty to the government.
Soon you will see what is going to happen to Githunguri's roads. Already 6 roads are under tarmac project. Right now as we speak, the tractors are on the road.
Her remarks have reignited debate over whether proximity to government is a prerequisite for development and what that means for regions perceived as opposition strongholds.
When a leader says that, we want to be in government so that we can get development, yet it is the very same MP who passes the budget, who allocates money to all state offices, including the office of the president. The president gets money from the MPs. Mm-hmm. So what logic is this MP using to say that we are in government so that we can get development?
David Mudhoka, NTV.
I will never betray the people who elected me. Integrity is non-negotiable. I cannot support a corrupt system. I stand with Kenyans, not with power. They can threaten me all they want. They can intimidate me, but I will not be silenced. The president has heard us, and we must give him time. I have evolved in my thinking. Sometimes leadership requires patience. Those criticizing do not understand governance. We must work with the government for the sake of development. I will never abandon my people or my principles. They did. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to the Kenyan Week That Was. I'm your host, DY. In Kenya, ideology isn't a belief system. It's a rental. with a very flexible return policy. How principles in Kenya politics expire faster than milk in the sun. So, tonight we're going to do something we should have done years ago. We're going to perform an autopsy on the Kenyan politician. Not a specific one, though we will absolutely get to case studies, but the entire species. Because here's what we've discovered. The Kenyan politician is a unique organism. They have evolved to survive in an ecosystem where consistency is a disadvantage and memory is extinct. Let's start with the anatomy. The brain. Calibrated for short-term political memory. Maximum retention is about 3 to 6 months. Optimal retention, 3 to 6 weeks. The Kenyan political brain is capable of holding contradictory positions simultaneously without experiencing cognitive dissonance. Scientists call this quantum political superposition, the ability to be both for and against something until observed by your voters, at which point they collapse into whichever position is more profitable. It's remarkable, really. The left hemisphere remembers what you promised. The right hemisphere forgets it immediately. They operate independently, never communicating, ensuring maximum flexibility. Let's talk about the spine. Made of revolutionary material we call political cartilage. More flexible than rubber, more adaptable than bamboo, can bend 180 degrees without breaking. In fact, the more it bends, the stronger it becomes. Each flip-flop adds another layer of flexibility. By the end of a political career, the spine has achieved what physicists call infinite malleability, the ability to face any direction at any time without structural damage. Let's talk about the Kenyan politician's heart. Here's the interesting part. The Kenyan politician's heart isn't located in their chest. No. Through a process of political evolution, it has become mobile. Its location changes based on power, dynamics, and proximity to resources. When in opposition, it beats somewhere near Uhuru Park. When in government, it relocates to State House. When campaigning, it descends to the grassroots. When appointed to a position, it ascends to the executive floor. Amazing. The only organ in nature that uses GPS. The mouth. Mouth with factory presets to contradict itself within 48 to 72 hours. Comes with a pre-installed phrases, like, I have grown, I have learned, the situation has evolved, I understand the complexity now. And my personal favorite, I have been consulting with my constituents and they want development, not empty rhetoric. The mouth also features what engineers call automatic deflection mode. When confronted with the past statements, it immediately generates excuses without requiring conscious thought. And principles? Oh, those are detachable accessories, like phone cases, like laptop skins. You swap them out depending on the occasion. Opposition principles? Red or orange. Bold, defiant. Government principles? Yellow or blue, or whatever the ruling party color is. Campaign principles? Green with a touch or a tinge of the Kenyan flag. Each set sold separately. Mix and match for optimal political survival. Now, before anyone accuses me of being cynical, let me be very clear. This is not incompetence. This is design. Like I've always told you, flip-flopping in Kenya isn't a bug in the political system. It's a feature. It's a career survival strategy that has been perfected over 6 decades of independence. And tonight, we're going to show you exactly how it works. Because we have a fresh case study. One that is so perfectly executed, so textbook in its implementation, that it should be taught in political science classes everywhere. Now, we need a case study. And I want to be very, very clear about what we are going to do, or what we're doing here. We're not attacking an individual. We're studying a phenomena, a pattern, a template. So tonight, we're looking at the political journey of one Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba, Member of Parliament of Githongori. Not because she's invented this, not because she's even the worst at it, but because she just gave us a masterclass in political honesty. And I mean that genuinely, because most politicians flip and then lie about why they flipped. They gaslight you. They tell you that you are misremembering. They say, I never said that, even when there is video evidence. Gathoni, She just told us exactly how the system works. She gave us the receipts. She showed us the transactions. She explained the logic. And that makes her a perfect specimen for our study. Let's trace the evolution. Because what's fascinating about this case is how textbook it really is. Phase 1. The resistor. That is between 2022 and 2024. During this period, Gathoni Wamuchomba became a symbol. The trademark beret. Not just fashion, but a visual representation of defiance against President William Samoei Ruto's administration. A fallout that began, according to reports, just months into his first term in 2022. She opposed the finance bills. She backed the Gen Z protests of 2024. She voted against the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in October of that year. She was, and I quote every comment section from that era, one of the few politicians who stands with the people, a true leader, finally someone with a spine. This is the audition phase. Every successful flip-flopper must first establish credibility as a resistor. You can't flip if you are never standing on the other side. The beret becomes her brand, her identity, her promise to the people. So phase 2, the transition, between late 2024 and early 2025. Here's where it gets interesting, because as political realignments happen after the Gachagua impeachment, we start seeing what biologists call adaptive positioning. The beret appears less frequently, the criticism becomes more selective, the tone softens, and questions become suggestions. Suggestions become observations, and observations become silence. This is a negotiation phase. This is when the terms are being discussed, when the price is being determined, when both sides are asking, what will it take? Phase 3, the arrival. Late 2025, early 2026. And then we arrive at Monday's UDA's National Governing Council meeting at State House. Gathoni Wamuchomba's first visit to the House on the Hill in years. And the beret? Gone. Replaced by a yellow UDA cap and visible laughter as the head of state engaged her alongside fellow political returnees. Juja MP George Kiombori in what was described as a brief tete-a-tete. Now, image management experts will tell you that's semiotics, that's political theater. The beret represented resistance. The UDA cap represents, well, the opposite. This is the arrival phase. The transaction is complete. But here's why this case study is perfect. Because when NTV asked her why she flipped, she didn't give us the usual political doublespeak. She didn't say, I've evolved or I've grown in my understanding or I've been listening to my people. No, she gave us the receipts. Those who say that have been bought for 250 million. I want to tell them here, not 250 million. I have been bought with billions of money in terms of projects that are going to come to my constituency and to my county. I need you to appreciate what just happened there. She didn't deny being bought. She corrected the amount. That absolutely is incredible. Most politicians would say, how dare you accuse me of being bought? I made a principled decision based on the needs of my people and a careful analysis of the political landscape and prayerful consideration of my role as a leader. Gathoni said, you are right. I was bought. You're just wrong about the price. It wasn't 250 million. It was billions. This is honest politics. Brutally refreshing, devastatingly honest. She's telling you, yes, I flipped. Yes, it was transactional. And yes, there are billions involved. And yes, my constituency will benefit. And then this is my favorite part. She gives you the evidence that the transaction has already been executed. Soon you will see what is going to happen in Githongori's roads. Already 6 roads are under tarmac project. Right now, as we speak, the tractors are on the road. She's not even waiting for the projects to complete. She's not even saying we've been promised or we are in discussion. She's saying, look, the deal is already working. The flip-flop has been monetized and the roads are being built right exact now. This is what we call in business, showing your work. Most politicians hide the transaction. Gathoni is showing you the invoice, the payment, and the delivery confirmation. Now, she also gave a second reason for her flip. And this one is textbook political psychology. She said that working with the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua was difficult because he had, and I'm quoting, a dark heart. She accused him of abusing workers and harassing women and gossiping. Strong accusations, serious accusations. Now, let me ask you a question, a simple timeline question. When did she discover this dark heart? Was it in 2022 when she was campaigning alongside him in the Kenya Kwanza coalition? Was it in 2023 when they were in the same political movement, attending the same rallies, supporting the same agenda? Or was it in 2024 when she voted against his impeachment in parliament? Or perhaps was it in late 2025 or early 2026 after she rejoined UDA and needed to explain why she had just abandoned him? This is what we call retroactive character assessment. It's when you discover someone's moral failings precisely when discovering those failings becomes politically convenient. It's when someone's heart becomes dark exactly when they lose power. You'll notice that, and this is important, you will notice that the dark heart wasn't dark enough to stop her from working with him when he was deputy president. It wasn't dark enough to make her vote for his impeachment when parliament brought charges. It only became dark after he lost power in October of 2024. Funny how that works. Funny how many people's moral character becomes clearer after they can no longer help your political career. Funny how the abuse and the harassment and gossiping that was apparently happening for years only became unacceptable after the political landscape shifted. So we have two reasons for the flip-flop. One, Rigathi Gachagua's character discovered retroactively, conveniently after his impeachment and fallout with government. And secondly, billions in development money discovered immediately, acknowledged openly, already being delivered. Which one do you think was the real reason? But here's what I genuinely appreciate about Gathoni Wamuchomba's explanation. She didn't insult our intelligence. She could have said, I've been listening to my constituents and they want me to work with the government for the sake of unity and development. She could have said, I have matured in my political thinking and realized that opposition for the sake of opposition doesn't serve my people. She could have even said, the president reached out to me and I saw in his eyes a genuine desire to work together for the good of the nation. She could have even given us, and she could have given us any of the standard political scripts, the ones we've had 1,000 times, the ones designed to make the flip sound noble and principled. Instead, she said, I was bought. Here's what I was bought with. Here's what you're getting. The tractors are already on the road. That is a level of transactional clarity we rarely see in Kenyan politics. And that's why she is the perfect case study, because she was not hiding what she did. She was defending it. She was saying, yes, I flip-flopped and my constituents will have better roads because of it. So what's the problem? And honestly, that's a fair question. Which brings us to the uncomfortable part of this conversation. You see, flip-flopping in Kenya isn't random. It's not chaos. It's not unpredictable. It follows a very specific, observable, testable laws. We've studied this. We've analyzed decades of data. We've tracked hundreds of politicians across multiple administrations. And we've identified 3 fundamental laws that govern political flip-flopping in Kenya. Think of them as Newton's laws, but for political survival. Law number 1, the proximity principle. The closer a politician gets to power, the quieter they become about power's excesses. It's physics, like gravity, like magneticism. The nearer you are to the state house, the stronger it pulls on your vocal cords. There's an inverse relationship between proximity to power and volume of criticism. At a certain distance, usually around the cabinet appointment threshold, your ability to criticize drops to a 0 point. We've measured this. It's consistent across all political parties, all tribes, all genders, all ages, all educational backgrounds. It's beautiful, really. The most reliable constant in Kenyan politics is beautiful, really. It's the most reliable constant in Kenyan politics. You can be the most vocal critic when you are 100 kilometers from State House. At 50 kilometers, your criticisms become constructive. At 10 kilometers, it becomes suggestions. At the gate, silence, or worse, praise. This is why you'll never hear a cabinet secretary criticize the president. Not because they suddenly agree with everything, but because they've crossed the proximity threshold. The law is absolute. Law number 2, the benefit compensation theorem. Every ideological shift is compensated by a material or political benefit. This is crucial. This is the most important law to understand. Politicians don't just wake up one day with new beliefs. Their beliefs don't evolve in a vacuum. No, their beliefs change precisely when changing those beliefs becomes profitable. We're talking cabinet appointments, principal secretary positions, parastatal board memberships, constituency development fund allocations, government contracts, county project approvals, political protection, or simply survival. You will never, and I mean never, find a Kenyan politician who flip-flopped away from power and towards hardship. Think about it. Find me one politician who said, you know what, this government position is too comfortable. These resources are too abundant. I am going back to opposition where I'll be marginalized and my projects will be cancelled. It doesn't happen. Because that would violate the second law. And the second law is as fundamental to Kenyan politics as gravity is to physics. In fact, we can predict flip-flops with remarkable accuracy. Just follow the benefits. When an opposition politician suddenly starts attending State House events, check what projects their constituency just got approved. When a critic goes quiet, check what appointment they or their allies have just received. When someone who voted against the government suddenly votes with the government, check what deals have just been made. The second law never fails. Law number 3, the memory erasure assumption. Kenyan politicians assume Kenyans do not remember their previous positions. This is the most brazen law because it requires remarkable confidence. The confidence to say the exact opposite of what you said 6 months ago and to do it with a straight face. The confidence to assume that nobody recorded you or nobody remembers. Nobody took screenshots. Nobody actually remembers. And here's the tragic part. They're often right because Kenyan political discourse moves so fast and our attention span have been so systematically destroyed by the 24-hour news cycle and social media outrage that by the time politicians contradict themselves, we're already outraged about something new or something else. So you get this incredible phenomenon. A politician can contradict themselves in the morning and deny it in the afternoon, call critics immature in the evening, and by the next day we've moved on to a new scandal. It's a brilliant strategy, really. If you flip fast enough, if you flip often enough, if you flip while everyone is distracted by the next outrage, who's going to remember? Who has the time to keep track? Who has the energy to compile the evidence? And even if someone does, even if someone creates a thread with timestamps and screenshots and video clips, who's going to care in 3 months when elections end for another year? This is why the third law is so powerful, because it is based on a correct assumption about Kenyan political culture. We do not remember. We do not hold people accountable for contradictions. We don't punish flip-flopping. We just move on. And politicians have learned this. They have mastered it. So there you have it. The 3 fundamental laws of political flip-flopping in Kenya. 1, proximity reduces criticism. Number 2, ideology follows benefit. And number 3, memory is short. Master these 3 laws and you can have a long, successful political career in this country. Ignore them and you'll be a principal politician we respect, but never re-elect. But we need to go deeper because the question isn't just how they do it. It is why. What is the psychological profile of someone who can pivot this completely? What goes on in the mind of a politician who can wear a beret of resistance one year and a cap of compliance the next? Let me walk you through the mindset. Because once you understand this, everything else makes sense. In Kenyan politics, being outside power is dangerous. You're vulnerable. Your projects are defunded. Your roads don't get built. Your hospitals lack medicine. Your schools lack teachers. And your people suffer. And as an elected leader, you watch your constituents suffer. You watch them compare their roads to roads in government-friendly areas. You watch them ask, why are we being punished? So the imperative isn't to stand on principle. It is to get close to power by any means necessary. Principle is a luxury you can't afford when your political survival and your constituents' well-being is at stake. This is the first trap, because it sounds almost reasonable, doesn't it? I need to work with the government so my people can get what they are owed. Except what they are owed shouldn't be conditional on political alignment. That's not democracy. That's feudalism. But we'll come back to that. There is no permanent alliance, only permanent interest. You're not betraying anyone by switching sides, because there were no real sides to begin with. There were only positions on a chessboard, and you move to where the advantage is. Today, you allied with Gachagua because he's deputy president. Tomorrow, you're allied with Ruto because Gachagua has been impeached. It's not betrayal, it's adaptation. And this is how they see it. Not as moral failure, but as strategic brilliance. What's right and wrong depends on who is in power. If your side does it, it's strategy. If the other side does it, it's corruption. That isn't hypocrisy, at least not in their minds. This is sophisticated political thinking. When you're in opposition, government borrowing is reckless. Cabinet appointments are corrupt. And development promises, they're all lies. When you're in government, borrowing is a necessary investment. Appointments are strategic. Promises take time to fulfill. Same actions, different moral assessments based solely on which side you are on. Belief number 4, activism is a stepping stone. Here's the one that hurts the most. In Kenyan politics, activism is often the audition tape. It's not the destination. It's how you get noticed. You don't fight for the people because you believe in the cause. You fight for the people because fighting gets you visibility, and visibility gets you to the table. And once you're at the table, the fight is over. Think about it. How many politicians started as activists? How many built their brands on fighting for the people? And how many of them are still fighting now that they have positions? The student leader who became an MP and goes silent. The human rights activist who gets appointed and stops advocating. The anti-corruption crusader who joins government and suddenly understands complexity. The pattern is consistent because activism was never the goal. It was the vehicle, the thing they used to get to power. This is why we keep being disappointed. Why we think they've sold out. They think they've arrived. We think they betrayed the cause. They think successfully used the cause to get where they needed to be. Different interpretations of the same journey. So when you combine all the 4 beliefs, power equals safety, loyalty is transactional, morality is seasonal, and activism is a stepping stone, you get a politician who can wear a beret of resistance and a cap of compliance without feeling any contradiction, vote against an impeachment and then condemn the same person months later, criticize billions in government spending and then celebrate billions in government projects, promise to never abandon the people and then literally abandon them for State House, all without losing sleep, because from their perspective, they haven't done anything wrong. They've just done what is necessary. But let's be honest, this didn't start yesterday. Flip-flopping is not a modern invention. It's not something this generation of politicians pioneered. It's institutional culture, refined over 6 decades of independence. But let me take you through the evolution, because each era of Kenyan politics perfected a different aspect of the flip-flop. Let's start with the Moi era, 1978 2002. Loyalty politics. This is where it all started. During the Moi 24-year era, he survived by complete and questioning allegiance. Ideology was irrelevant. Your personal beliefs were irrelevant. Your constituents' needs were irrelevant. All that mattered, are you loyal to Mzee? The flip wasn't from from one principle to another. It was from independence to obedience. You either fell in line or you fell out of favor. And falling out of favor meant detention without trial, political isolation, constituency neglect, or worse. So politicians learned survival required submission. That's lesson number one. And it was burned into the DNA of Kenyan politics. Think about Kibaki era, 2002 to 2013, technocratic opportunism. The Kibaki era made the flip more sophisticated. You didn't abandon principles, you evolved your understanding based on new data. You very intellectual, very respectable, very deceptive. The flip got a PhD. It learned to speak in policy language. It learned to cite reports and studies. I used to oppose this, but after reviewing the treasury projections and consulting with stakeholders, same flip, better packaging. The Uhuru era, 2013 to 2022, elite consolidation. The Uhuru era, especially after the 2018 handshake, perfected the art of strategic flip. It wasn't about ideology anymore. It wasn't even about party anymore. It was about, are you in the inner circle? Politicians flipped from opposition to government. Politicians flipped to opposition. Everyone was flipping. Everyone was moving from one party to the next. And the justification was always national unity. The flip became patriotic. And now, the Ruto era, 22 to this day. Transactional survivism. And now we are here, 2026, year 4 of Ruto's presidency, and the flip is now completely transparent. We all see it happening. We all know why it is happening. The politicians literally tell us why it is actually happening. Billions in development money, 6 roads under tarmac. The tractors are on the road. There is no pretense anymore, no sophisticated justification. Just this is what I am getting, and this is why I flipped. Any questions? And somehow it still works, because we've been conditioned for 62 years to accept this as normal. So when we see a politician flip today, we are not seeing an individual's failure. We are seeing the product of 24 years of Moi era loyalty politics, 10 years of Kibaki era intellectual justifications, 9 years of Uhuru era strategic positioning, and 4 years of Ruto era transactional transparency. We are seeing 62 years of political conditioning, a system that has taught every ambitious person the same lesson. Flexibility beats consistency every single time. And until we break that system, we'll keep producing the same type of politician, generation after generation, era after era, flip after flip. Now, we need to talk about something uncomfortable, because when we discuss someone like Gathoni Wamuchomba, there's a trap waiting for us, the gender trap. And I need to be very, very clear about this, because it is important. Here's what happens in Kenyan political discourse. When a woman politician flip-flops, the conversation immediately becomes about her character. She's called a sellout, opportunistic, weak, a gold digger, having been used, having sold her body for position. The attacks become personal. They become about her fundamental integrity as a person. Sometimes they even become sexual. But when a male politician does the same exact thing, he is strategic. He's playing 4D chess. He's matured. A political operator, smart, pragmatic, same behavior, different assessment, based solely on gender. So let me be absolutely clear. This episode is not about gender. It's not about behavior. The behavior we are critiquing tonight, the flip-flopping, the opportunism, the convenience-based ideology, that's problematic, regardless of who does it, man or woman. Whether they are from Central or from the coast, the critique is still the same. But we do have to acknowledge that the punishment isn't the same. The behavior we're analyzing is rewarded in men and punished in women. And that's a problem. Here's the thing. If your takeaway from this episode is women politicians are sellouts, you've missed the entire point. The point is that the system creates sellouts. The system rewards flip-flopping. The system punishes consistency. The system makes opportunism rational, and women who succeed in that system are simply playing by the same rules men wrote. Gathoni Wamuchomba didn't invent political flip-flopping. She didn't create the transactional system. She didn't establish the rule that proximity to power determines development. She just learnt it. The same way every male politician before her had learned it. So when we criticize her for flip-flopping, we must also criticize every male MP who has done the same thing. Every male cabinet secretary who went from critic to defender. Every male politician who traded activism for access. The standard must be universal. The problem isn't the player, it's the game. And until we change the game, we will keep producing the same type of players, male or female, all learning the same lessons. Survival requires flexibility. So let's keep our critique focused on the behavior and the system that rewards it, not on the gender of the person engaging it. But here's a part where we have to look in the mirror. Because politicians don't flip-flop in a vacuum. They do it because it works. And it works because of us. Let's do a thought experiment. You're a voter in Githongori constituency. For years, you've watched your MP Gathoni Wamuchomba stand with you and stand by you guys. Oppose the government, wear the beret of resistance, fight for the people. And for years, you've watched your roads remain impassable, your hospitals understaffed, your schools underfunded. Then she flips. She removes the beret and she puts on the UDA cap. She goes to State House and then the tractors arrive. 6 roads under tarmac right now as we speak. So here's my question. What are you going to do in 2027? Are you going to vote for her? Are you going to vote her out because she flip-flopped and abandoned her principles? Or are you going to vote her in because finally, after years of resistance getting you nowhere, your roads are being fixed? Be honest. Think about it. Your children can now get to school without being stuck in the mud. Your produce can now get to market without spoiling. Your sick relatives can now go to hospital without 2-hour ordeal. What's the rational choice? This is a trap. This is genius of the system because Gathoni Wamuchomba is right. Opposition doesn't build roads. Government builds roads. So if you are a voter in a constituency that has been neglected for years and your MP finally flips to government and the tractors show up, what are you supposed to do? Punish them for flip-flopping and go back to impassable roads? Or reward them for delivering and accept that principles were the price? And this is exactly why the flip-flopping continues. Because it works. Not just for the politician, for the constituency too. Gathoni Wamuchomba will probably get re-elected come 2027. Not despite the flip-flop, because of it. And when she does, what lessons do other politicians learn? They learn that principles are expensive and flexibility is profitable. They learn that voters do not actually want constituency. They want results. They learn that the fastest way to get re-elected is to flip to whichever side can deliver development. Let's be honest about how we vote in Kenya. We don't vote for consistency. We vote for access. We don't vote for principles. We vote for proximity to power. We do not vote for the person who will hold government accountable. We vote for the person who can talk to the president. We don't vote for the person who will fight our constitution for our constitutional rights. We vote for the person who can bring development. At least our MP can now get us projects. At least someone is finally paying attention to our constituency. At least we are not being marginalized anymore. We confuse access with impact. We confuse proximity with power. We confuse getting our share with getting our rights. And politicians know this. They've studied us. They've understood us. They know that if they stay in opposition and nothing gets done, we'll vote them out for being ineffective. And they know that if they flip to government and things get done, we'll vote them in for being effective. So the flip-flopper wins either way. And we've created this system. Now, Gathoni Wamuchomba is not alone in this reasoning. She's joined what she herself called a growing list of leaders who have crossed over from the opposition to government in pursuit of development. Mary Waithera from Maragua, George Kiombori from Juja, a section of ODM leaders who joined the broad-based government in 2024. All of them saying the same bloody thing. We need to work with the government so that we can get development. Here is a devastating question that raises. Is proximity to government a prerequisite for development? Because if the answer is yes, and increasingly, it seems that like the answer is yes, then we do not have a democracy. We have a patronage system. We have a system where your constitutional right to representation is contingent on your representative's personal relationship with the president. We have a system where opposition areas get punished with underdevelopment and government-friendly areas get rewarded with tractors on the road. We have a system where the equitable share of constituency development funds supposedly distributed fairly somehow flows faster to constituencies whose MPs support the government. And if that's the system, then every politician has an impossible choice. Stand on principle and watch your constituents suffer, or flip to the government and deliver development. What would you do? Like seriously. If you are an MP, if you are Gathoni Wamuchomba, what would you do? And your choice was between keeping your integrity while your roads remain impassable, your hospital lack medicine, and your schools lack teachers, or swallowing your pride, putting on the party cap, and getting billions for your constituency. What would you choose? This is why I say we created this, not just politicians, us as voters. We created a system where development is a political reward, not a constitutional right, where budget allocation depends on political loyalty, not on need, where the only way to get your fair share of the national resource is to be on the winning side. And then we act surprised when politicians choose survival over principles. And then we act betrayed when the leaders flop. And then we act confused about why consistency doesn't exist in Kenyan politics. We built the system. Every time we vote for the candidate who can deliver over the candidate who has principles. Every time we reward access over accountability. Every time we re-elect the flip-flopper because they fixed our roads. We are optimizing for exactly what we are getting. But I want to come back to something, because there's a strange kind of respect that I have for how Gathoni Wamuchomba explained this. She didn't lie. She could have. Most politicians do. But she looked at the camera and said, yes, I was bought. Here's the price. And here is what you're getting. The tractors are on the road. And in a twisted way, that's more honest than the politicians who flip and then pretend they didn't. The ones who say things have changed, the situation has changed. The ones who gaslight us into questioning our own memories. The ones who say, I'm still fighting for you while sitting in State House dining rooms. At least Gathoni is saying, you remember correctly. I did oppose the government. I did wear the beret. I did vote against the impeachment. And now I've changed. And here's why. Billions in development money. I don't know if that's refreshing or depressing. Maybe a little bit of both. But it forces us to confront the real question. Is transactional politics honest governance, or is it corruption with better PR? Because if your MP says, I'll fight the government until they give me roads, and once they give the said roads, I'll stop fighting, is that representation or extortion? If development only comes when you align with power, is that democracy or feudalism? And if we keep rewarding the flip-floppers with re-election because they delivered the roads, are we voters or accomplices? Gathoni Wamuchomba said something else in that interview, something that I think got lost in all the discussions about billions and tractors. She talked about being marginalized by the government as a reason for the decision. Marginalized by the government. Let that sink in. She was being marginalized by the government for opposing the government. And the only way to stop being marginalized was to stop opposing the government. That's the system. That's what we're dealing with. That's the choice every opposition politician faces. Be marginalized and watch your people suffer, or capitulate and get your share. And until we fix that system, until development becomes a right and not a reward, until budget allocation is based on needs and not on political loyalty, until opposition areas get the same tractors as government areas, politicians will forever keep flipping. Because right now, the flip is rational. And we can't blame people for being rational in an irrational system. But we can blame ourselves for accepting that this is our normal. We can blame ourselves for not demanding better. We can blame ourselves for voting in a system that makes flip-flopping the only logical survival strategy. Kenyan politicians or Kenyan politics isn't broken. It's perfectly optimized. Optimized for forgetfulness, optimized for short-term thinking, optimized for transactional relationships. We get politicians, we incentivize. And right now, we're incentivizing shape shifters. The Kenyan Politician's Handbook, a guide to political survival with a chameleon on the cover. In case you're an uprising politician watching this, let me save you some time. I've compiled the unofficial Kenyan Politician Survival Manual. These are the rules that aren't written down anywhere. They're not in any constitution. They're not in a party manifesto, but they are universally understood. Rule number 1, be loud in opposition. Criticize everything, question everything, demand accountability for everything. This builds your brand. This gets you noticed. This is your highlight reel. The louder you are, the better you are. Bonus points for wearing distinctive accessories. The berets, the baseball caps, bandanas, using memorabilia, memorable slogans, getting arrested at protests, trending on social media. This is the foundation. You can't flip if you are never seen standing on the other side. Rule 2, be silent in power. Once you're in government, suddenly you understand completely the complexities that are involved in running government. You understand nuance. You understand that governance is hard and that critics are simplistic. Remarkable how that works. All those things you said were corrupt when the other side did them. Now, they are necessary for development. Now they are strategic decisions. Now they are part of a larger plan that the public doesn't seem understand yet. Rule number 3, call it growth. When confronted about the contradiction, never apologize. Never admit you changed for personal benefit. Always say you've grown, you've matured, you've evolved in your thinking. I used to be idealistic, but now I'm very pragmatic. I used to see things in black and white, but now I understand the gray areas. I used to be emotional, but now I'm completely rational. People respect growth and admire maturity. So frame your flip-flops as personal development. Rule number 4, call critics immature. Anyone who points out your flip-flop doesn't understand politics. They are naive. They are stuck in the past. They lack sophistication. You, on the other hand, are pragmatic. You're a realist. You understand that politics is not a playground. You understand that leadership requires making, tough decisions. Never defend your flip-flop. Attack the people who remember it. Rule number 5, call the public emotional. If citizens are angry about your flip-flop, they're being emotional. They're not thinking rationally. They're letting their feelings cloud their judgment. Unlike you, who made a calculated, rational decision to completely abandon everything you claimed to believe in. Kenyans are emotional. People are not mature. And they're not mature enough to understand. The public wants to be entertained, but I'm here to deliver. Imply that anyone who expected you to keep your word is being childish. Rule 6. Wait it out. And this is the most important rule. Just wait. Because Kenyans will forget. We always do. In 3 months, there'll be a new scandal. In 6 months, you'll be back to normal. In a year, you can run for re-election using exact same rhetoric you used before you flip-flopped. The memory is short. The attention span is even shorter. So just wait. Just wait it out. Rule 7, never put principles in writing. The golden rule, never, ever, ever put your principles in writings, because writing is evidence, and evidence is the enemy of flexibility. Speeches can be misheard. Interviews can be taken out of context. Social media can be deleted. But documents lasts forever. So speak, and speak passionately, promise boldly, but never sign a document that commits you to a specific ideological position. You follow these 7 rules and you can have a long, successful political career in Kenya. Ignore them and you will be the principal politician we respect in theory, but never re-elect in practice. So let me bring this home. We started tonight by asking, what is a Kenyan politician? And we've seen the answer. They are survivors in a system that punishes consistency and rewards opportunism. They are shapeshifters because the shape of power keeps changing, and staying rigid means becoming irrelevant. They are rational actors in an irrational system. And here's the thing we need to understand. They're not anomalies. They are products. Gathoni Wamuchomba didn't invent political flip-flopping. She didn't even pioneer it. She didn't perfect it. She simply learned the same lesson that every other successful Kenyan politician before her learned. Proximity to power matters more than any principles you've held. And until we change that, we reward the flip-flopping. Because right now we are rewarding the flip-flop. We punish the principled, we celebrate the ones who know how to play the game, and we mock the ones who refuse to bend. We say we want integrity, but we vote for access. We say we want accountability, but we forgive those who deliver development. We say we want consistency, but we re-elect the flexible. So, the anatomy of a Kenyan politician isn't built on ideology. It's built on survival, and the blueprint for survival was written by us, the voters. You know, the guys who keep changing the criteria for success every election cycle. So here's my challenge to all of you who are listening. Next election, 2027, vote for someone's record, not their rhetoric. Vote for what they did when they had power, not for what they said when they wanted power. Vote for consistency over proximity. Vote for the person who tells you hard truths and not comfortable lies. And when a politician flip-flops, don't let them memory hole it. Don't let them call it growth. Don't let them dismiss you as emotional. Do not even let them wait it out. Hold them accountable for the contradiction. Because right now, they flip because they can, because we forget, because we've always forgiven, and because we prioritize the wrong things continuously. But we also need to fix the system. We need to demand that development is a constitutional right and not a political reward. We need to demand that budget allocation is based on need and not on political loyalty. We need to demand that opposition areas get the same resources as government areas. Because as long as development is controlled by proximity to power, politicians will keep flip-flopping. And we can't blame them. Because we created this system. We maintain this system. Every time we accept that this is just how things work, every time we accept that this is just how things work, every time we say at least we got our roads, every time we vote for access over accountability, we are complicit. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Gathoni Wamuchomba will probably get re-elected in 2027. The roads will be paved, the projects will be completed, and the constituents will be grateful. And the lesson will be learned by every other politician watching. The flip works. And they'll be right, because we'll reward her for it. Not out of stupidity, not out of ignorance, but out of rationality. Because in a system where only government-friendly areas get development, the rational choice is to support the government. And that's the tragedy. Not the politician's flip, but that flip is tactical. Kenya doesn't have a leadership crisis. Kenya has a memory crisis. We don't remember what politicians said last year. We don't remember what they promised last election. We don't hold them accountable for contradictions. We just move on. And until we cure that, until August 2027, when we go back to the polls, until we decide that consistency matters more than access, until we vote for the record over rhetoric, we will keep electing shapeshifters in the place of our politicians, and we'll keep calling them leaders. I'm DY. This has been the Kenyan Week That Was. Remember what they said. Remember what they promised. Remember what they stood for. And remember what they stand for now. Good night, good day, or good afternoon. And like always, receipts over vibes. Always.